Hello everyone, Giltar here with something of an experiment of sorts and a bit of an update. First of all, despite speaking of holding off on doing reviews during a previous video update video of mine, I've continued to make reviews, well, one so far, which was of the knockoff Masterpiece 10 toy. I am still upgrading my video shooting setup. I've yet to settle on an HD camera. I'm still researching that area, and to be honest, probably won't be getting a new camera for some time now, unless I can find a really good deal on a good camera. The light tent situation is actually almost finished. I'll be getting all the rest of the parts I need today. I should be able to assemble it either later today or tomorrow, so that's some good news. In addition to using a light tent, I'd also like to incorporate a backdrop made up of mechanical chain bases, which is a fairly popular choice for some video and pictorial reviewers out there. I really do like the look of that backdrop, and I also like the way that the particular shade of gray in those mechanical chain bases contrast quite nicely with pretty much every toy, model kit, and other products out there that I've seen in reviews. So I'd like to go that route as well and implement that kind of backdrop to my reviews here. So for the time being, while I do get all that set up, I am still going to offer reviews and share my thoughts and opinions on various products, but I plan on using a more brief format for my reviews, nothing as detailed or as in-depth for the most part, just because until I get a proper setup, I don't want to go too much into detail, especially on the visual aspects of these things that I share with you guys. So that leads on to the other purpose of this video, which first of all was a bit of an update, or is a bit of an update rather. In addition to that, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to do 3 videos, or rather 3 reviews in this video of 3 different toy products, which I have on camera here. These are things I've acquired recently, are very fun. I'd like to share my thoughts on them. Now the first one will be of Mastermind Creations' Terminus Hexatron, and I'm going to try to do something a little different with certain reviews of mine in the future. Essentially, I want to review things that have been out for some time, probably a year or more, and because these things are often normally reviewed to a great deal by the time that I get around to them, they're not going to be anything new in terms of offering insight aside from my own personal take on things. But it is something that I'm tentatively calling it's new to me. That kind of review where it's a new product to me even though it might have been out for a while. So we'll start off with Hexatron, we'll move on to DAI Commander Stack, and finally on to Masterpiece Wheeljack. First up is MMC's Terminus Hexatron, which was released in mid-2013. It's a fantastic example of the level of design and engineering, as well as production quality of modern third-party toy products. It has several variations from the standard homage to 6-shot, as you can see here on camera, to the limited edition Supernova and Shadow Emissary, the former being in prototype colors, and the latter is essentially a black color variant. Finally, we have an upcoming remold and recolor of the toy in the form of Continuum. It has shorter chest wings and a helmet sculpt more in line with the Generation 1 6-shot head design, as well as numerous paint applications across the toy. However, this variant will not have the twin swords or shuriken accessories that come with Hexatron. The sculpt is fantastic, filled with molded details. The art direction of the toy is best described as the essence of Generation 1 6-shot's character design, filtered through the lens of modern transforming robot aesthetics. The articulation ability is great, especially considering the robust proportions of Hexatron's design. Numerous swivel, hinge, and ball joints are implemented throughout the toy, as well as ratcheting joints, to allow the toy to really pose well under its own weight. The toy is a true homage to 6-shot, and does possess a minimum of 6 modes. Your mileage may vary depending on your familiarity and opinion of the 6-shot toy. Now, I'm not a big 6-shot fan by any means, so modes like the Wolf and Laser Pistol aren't really used for display. However, I really do like the Robot mode, which is essentially my favorite. The APC, Tank, and Starfighter modes are also really nice, so those are what I display the figure in on my desk when I do have it out. The transformation design is also impressive considering the need to facilitate 6 different modes. For the retail suggested price of $140 upon original release, this is more on the expensive side of the spectrum, but I do think it's well worth the price for any fan of 6-shot as well as collectors of high-end transforming robot toys. Next up is KFC's DAI Commander Stack, or Die Stack as some call it, which is a recolor of the Citizen Stack toy, which in turn is a heavily Generation 1 inspired Ultra Magnus toy with some IDW comic influence. Die Stack is an homage to the Diaclone toy Powered Convoy that was in turn later reused by Hasbro for the toy and character of Ultra Magnus. Die Stack was released in late August and early September of 2014. The normal retail price of this toy is around $140 to $150 US. The first production run of Citizen Stack was actually plagued with many loose joint issues, but there was a secondary production run with improvements that I believe addressed all of those initial problems. And as a reuse of the mold, Die Stack benefits from the tune-up that was utilized in the later production run of the Citizen Stack mold. Now there are some perceived flaws of this toy, which actually are not truly flaws in my eyes. Basically on a tactile level, it feels lighter than it should for its size. There are thin sections of plastic, and there are some hollow sections, I suppose, of the toy that contribute to an overall feeling of fragility or even cheapness. Now, I believe the alleged flaws are actually intentional design decisions, and these I believe are for good reason. For example, the lightness and plastic thinness are due to mitigating potential problems with a toy of this size. Die Stack stands approximately 13 inches tall at the top of its head sculpt. If the toy weighed as much as it should by visual judgment by many people, it would be a detriment. The toy would be so heavy that it would be problematic posing it and keeping it standing up. And that, in turn, was actually an issue of the first production run, where it wasn't any heavier, but even at the sort of lightness of the Citizen Stack mold, the initial joints weren't strong enough to hold up, and they were, overly loose for the most part. And so, again, I do think that the lightness is for a reason. And the thinness of plastic, again, is also to reduce weight for that particular reason of lightening the overall mass of this particular large toy. And something else to consider is that even though the plastic does feel and is somewhat thin at certain points of the toy's sculpt, the plastic itself feels durable to me. And what I mean by durable is that it has some flex to it, which is what you want in plastic objects that require some handling from time to time. It's better for plastic to be flexible or essentially ductile to flex and deform rather than be rigid and quote-unquote hard, just because that actually becomes a matter of brittle plastic, which is actually more prone to breakage. Now, as far as the hollow areas, I don't personally see much problems in those, just because they are necessary for configuring rather of parts in both robot mode and alternate vehicle mode. They're not there out of a laziness of design or arbitrary decision making. The hollow areas are there out of necessity, as far as I can see. Now, the sculpt, in my opinion, is very nice. It has all the hallmarks of an Ultra Magnus design, combined with modernization without going too overboard with sculpted detail, which can tend to make things essentially lose touch with the subject of their homage. And that is a problem that is seen in some third-party toy products. The colors chosen for the plastics really look good to my eyes, and truly evoke the feeling of Powered Convoy. While the paint apps are sparse, it's not meant to be a direct copy of the Powered Convoy toy, so any extra details needed are fairly minor, and you could apply them by paint, which is not going to require a lot of painting, or hopefully repro labels will create some stickers to make this more Powered Convoy in appearance. The articulation is great, especially for a bulky toy like Die Stack. Numerous swivels and hinges populate the joints, and some of them are very nice ratchet joints. In addition to those, the heel and toe components of the toy utilize ball joints that are very useful supporting the toy in a variety of dynamic stances. Now, for those who are not intending to buy Masterpiece 22 Ultra Magnus because of various reasons like not liking that particular design or the way it transforms or the stature, I do believe that Citizen Stack and Die Stack are really great alternatives to consider if you do want a large and modern Ultra Magnus toy analog in your collection. Last but not least, we have Masterpiece 20 Wheeljack. This toy was released in late September of 2014 for a manufacturer suggested retail price of about 6,500 yen or approximately $60 US at current exchange rates. Continuing on with the current direction of the Masterpiece line scale structure, Wheeljack fits in perfectly with all Masterpiece toys from MP10 Convoy onward. The alternate mode is a gorgeous representation of the Lancia Stratos, and the robot mode is a great representation of G1 Wheeljack with a modern visual sensibility. The toy comes with a laser pistol, a shoulder missile launcher, with a removable missile. Now, the missile launcher isn't spring-loaded, but that's not a bad thing. I don't think that many Masterpiece collectors are going to have a make-or-break decision point based upon the lack of a spring-loaded missile mechanism. The laser pistol can serve as an exhaust pipe in alternate mode, while the missile launcher can be connected to the roof of the car by a port that has a spring-loaded cover when not in use, which is a really great improvement over the alternate mode weapon attachment points on the roofs of the Masterpiece Lamborghini and Datsun brother toys. So far, no one has reported significant paint application flaws, and my Wheeljack has a flawless paint job, so it seems like Takara Tomy has sorted out the production issues of those past Masterpiece toys, which were plagued with some initial paint production problems. The articulation, as usual, is fantastic on Wheeljack. It can be posed in a wide variety of ways, from the more subtle to the more dynamic. The transformation process is involved and satisfying for aficionados of transformation design. However, it isn't as intuitive as what has been seen in the Lamborghini and Datsun brothers Masterpiece toys. Once again, the Masterpiece line displays exceptional toy design expertise. I was not a big fan of Generation 1 Wheeljack as a character. As some of you may know from my past admittance in previous videos, Bumblebee is my favorite character by far. However, this Masterpiece toy has made me appreciate the Wheeljack design much more, and while I'm still not a fan of the character, at least I can be a fan of the Wheeljack design. So all in all, this is definitely another great showing by Takara Tomy's Masterpiece line, and I do recommend it. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my relatively brief overviews / mini reviews of these toys. Definitely they are not by any means comprehensive reviews. I would not present them as such. However, these are some really fun toys that I've been playing around with lately, and I really wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on them with all of you guys out there. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you at the next video.